Good morning. How's everyone doing? This week we'll continue our series of Upward. Our lesson will come from Genesis 39 through 6, 17 through 33. It's about Joseph when he was in Potiphar's house. Even though Joseph was now in a foreign country, his life seemed to be moving forward. Joseph was working for an important Egyptian official, but when the official's wife spread lies about him, Joseph ends up in prison. But even from prison, God was with Joseph and he blessed him. Bottom line, God is with us even in hard times. Up next is our skit and a message from Captain Cam.
When we last left our hero, his life was headed downward.
Who said that?
He went from being his father's favorite son to a slave.
Oh, it's you again. How have you been?
Better than you, Joseph.
You think so? I don't know. Life here in Egypt hasn't been too bad.
Are you kidding me? You're a slave.
Yes, but I have a really cool guy for a master.
You're a stranger in a foreign land.
I got to travel. I got to learn a new language.
But your life was headed downward. Down, I tell you.
I don't know. Seems to me like everything's moving forward.
But that's not possible. How can you be moving forward when you're a slave?
That's easy. God is with me.
He is?
Sure. He's the one who put me in Potiphar's household. He's the one who helped me to earn Potiphar's respect. He put me in charge of the whole house, you know.
Sounds like this adventure of yours is going well.
It's not going bad.
Maybe God has plans for you after all.
I know he does. God keeps blessing me and moving me forward. You watch. Good things are coming.
Excuse me, are you Joseph?
Yes, I am, officer.
Drop the broom now, you're under arrest.
Whoa, what did I do?
You're under arrest for a crime you didn't commit.
But that's not fair.
Uh-oh, Joseph. Looks to me like you're headed downward again.
Not at all. This isn't the direction I thought I'd be going, but it's clear to me my time with Potiphar is at an end. Okay, Miss Policewoman, let's move forward.
Forward? You're moving to the dungeon.
And God is still with me. I may not be able to see the reason, but I know He is there, and His blessings are with me.
He's right, you know. I read ahead in the story, and after he goes to jail... Okay, let's not give it all away this week. Onward with you, Joseph.
Don't you mean forward?
That's the spirit. Awfully sorry about this, but like you said, God's still here.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's lesson. We're going to continue the Upward series, and I have to be honest with you. The first part of it I'm just going to read off the paper because I've never seen the movie that they're talking about. But what we hope to learn today is that God is with us even in the hard times. Imagine going to see the movie Onward with your family. Imagine that the movie begins with Barley and Ian's mom giving him their father's gift, a magic wand. Imagine Barley and Ian performing the spell to bring their father back, and it works perfectly. Barley and Ian get to enjoy a wonderful day with their father. Dad imparts some life lessons to his sons, tells them he loves them, and then he is gone. The boys are richer for the experience, and dear old Dad gets a chance to see his boys once more. Sounds like a wonderful story, right? Let's be honest. If that's how the movie went, the movie would be boring. I know it's frustrating when things don't go right for the heroes in a story, but if Barley and Ian don't mess up the spell, there's no story, and there's no movie. A good story has obstacles and problems. In order to fulfill their quest, our heroes must overcome those obstacles. In the process, our heroes learn about themselves. They are changed by the experience. They may get frustrated and even want to give up, but they keep moving forward. Look, every good story is full of obstacles and challenges. You know, in Star Wars, Rey overcomes a number of challenges in her quest to become a Jedi so that she can defeat the First Order. The Avengers lose half the heroes in the galaxy before they can defeat Thanos and his Infinity Gauntlet. As frustrating as setbacks and hard times may be, our heroes come out better and stronger for having faced those challenges. They turn out to be blessings in disguise. The last time we were doing the Upward series, we talked about Joseph a little bit, and we're going to continue with his story today, and we're going to pick up in chapter 39 of Genesis, and we're going to read from 1 to 6 and then 17 to 23. This is what it says. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except what kind of food to eat. Now we're going to pick up in verse 17. And it says, "Then she told him her story. That Hebrew slave you've brought into our house tried to come in and fool around with me," she said. "But when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me." Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her. So he took Joseph and threw him into the prison where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him his faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that happened in the prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. Now, Joseph could have been bitter because of everything that he went through. The whole deal going all the way back to his brothers, throwing him in the pit and selling him into slavery. And, then he gets sold to Potiphar, and Potiphar takes him in. But God was with him even in those difficult times, and he was blessing Joseph. So that's what he did. Instead of getting bitter and everything, he just had faith in God, and he just made the best of the situation. And he served Potiphar so well that he put him in charge of his whole household. There was nothing that Joseph, didn't have control over. But just when things were moving up, Joseph fell back down really hard. But he kept moving forward. Even though he was accused of a crime that he didn't commit, God still had this plan and was moving him forward. So, even in jail, Joseph looked for God's blessings. He just kept being the person that he was supposed to be. He didn't get angry. He just kept being the man that God wanted him to be. So even in jail, they got seeing how good of a prisoner he was, that he got put in charge of the other prisoners in prison. And so he's still moving forward, even in the dark times. And if Joseph can find God's blessing in a lonely prison cell, we can find God's blessing in the hard times in our lives. I'm sure some of you are questioning the logic behind that statement. How was Joseph blessed? His brother sold him out. He was a slave. Then he was a prisoner. How could Joseph possibly keep his faith in those dark times? But God, had a plan for Joseph. And because he, allowed Joseph to be sold into slavery, he was able to be put in a position in Potiphar's house. And then, accused of a crime that he didn't commit, he gets put in prison, but he keeps having faith in God. And God starts blessing him in prison, starts putting him in charge of the prisoners. And because of that, he ends up meeting two guys in prison. And one of the guys ends up dying, but the other one gets let out of out of prison and goes to work for Pharaoh. And because of that, the guy that goes to work for Pharaoh was able to tell Pharaoh about Joseph being able to interpret dreams, which enables Joseph to go work for Pharaoh, which enables him to save his brothers, his whole family, from starving to death at a point in the future. So even though there were these bad things that happened, God worked them out for the best. And if things didn't go the way they went, Joseph wouldn't have been in a position to save his family. So, he just had to have faith that God knew what he was doing. And he does, and he always does. Joseph may not have seen all these blessings, but he still held fast to his faith. He believed in the dreams that God had given him. He knew God was always moving him forward. So look, the next time that you're going through, something in life, something difficult, whether it be some kind of family issue or whether, it's something at school or whatever it is, sometimes you just have to ask yourself, some questions. And while you're asking these questions, you got to continue to have faith in God. Having faith in God will help you answer the questions the right way. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, where are God's blessings? How is this setback a blessing in disguise? Is God teaching you something? Is he drawing you closer as a family? Is he making you stronger, preparing you for bigger challenges ahead? God uses the hard times to bless us in ways seen and unseen. He is with you in those times. He is always working on you. He is always moving you forward. That's just like with the whole COVID thing that we've been going through for several months. A lot of people that I talked to talked about, how much, peace there was. That life wasn't as hectic whenever we were kind of having to stay at home and everything. And their family was actually there with them every day. And they were actually able to talk and do things together and get closer as a family. So even though it seemed like it was all bad, there was good that came out of it. Families were drawing closer together. So anyway, like I said, just when you're going through those tough times, just know that God is working things out and he has a plan and he's using you in that plan. And somewhere down the line, he's going to use that hard time for something good. So anyway, like I said, the main thing we wanted to learn today was that God is with us even in the hard times. So that's all we got for today, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Bye-bye.